Okay, so we have another teaching here from the Kalover Rebbe Shlita about this week's Parsha. Again, these are things that he wrote on his, just using his eyes. He wrote this past Sunday. Incredible. You know, not only the way he writes these Divrei Torah, but the words he teaches are really incredible. So he said the very fact that one sits in the place where people learn Torah can purify a person. So that's just says Vasel Mikdash V'Shchanti B'Socham in Exodus 25 verse 8. It says, "Make me a temple, I will live in them." So it's brought in the Sfarim in the name of his great grandfather, Reb Isaac Kalover, the first Kalover Rebbe, who was the first Hasidic Rebbe in Hungary. He explained the Mishnah. It says when two people are sitting and they don't have words of Torah between them, it's a Moshe of Leitzim. It's the seat of scorners, of mockers. And the question is, why isn't it just say that they are Leitzim? Why isn't it just say they are mockers? Why does it say that it's a seat of mockers? What is that? All right, you could say, well, it's an expression from the Psalms, but still, why are we using this expression? So you want to say they're not studying Torah, but they're also not saying leitzanos, they're not saying any mockery. They're just sitting doing nothing. They're just, so why would they be called a Moshe of Leitzim if they're not doing anything? So the answer is, it's known that the place where someone is sitting has an impact on who he is. If a person is in a place of Torah and holiness, that brings his heart to holiness. And if a person is in the opposite type of place, it brings his heart to the opposite. And this is what the Mishnah is meaning. If you're seeing that two people are sitting down to learn, but for some reason they don't know, they're just not successful in the learning. They want to sit and learn, and instead they're just like wasting their time. That's a sign that the place beforehand was a Moshe of Leitzim. And so there's a residue from the place. The people, they're not Leitzim, they're sitting trying to learn, but they can't learn. They're being disrupted, they're being distracted, and they're bottling, is what they say, And so the answer is because it was previously a Moshe of Leitzim, that scoffers, mockers used to sit there. This polluted the area, and so therefore those people who are trying to sit and learn, the spiritual pollution makes it difficult for them to do what they really want to do and learn. It doesn't mean they can't learn there. Maybe they should be learning there, and they're going to purify and sanctify, but it's going to be a much more difficult experience because of the spiritual pollution. And from this, however, the Rebbe brings that we see there can be an a priori argument, a kal v'chomer, because we always say that anything that's good is always greater than anything that's negative. And so therefore, if we're sitting and learning Torah, that if people are, if being a Moshe of Leitzim can pollute an area, so sitting and learning and doing holy things can sanctify an area, and it leaves an influence and a mark of holiness on the place. And this causes that if afterwards people come to learn, then the previous holiness that was there in the place will help to influence them in a spirit of holiness that they can learn better. And he said that's what his Zayda Rebbe Isaac Kalover, the first Kalover Rebbe, explains, Maimer Chazal, that any place where 10 people gather, the Shechina is present. Meaning, if people, 10 men, they're sitting together, they're studying Torah, they're davening, they're praying, they're telling stories of tzaddikim, then in that merit, the Shechina is present. But Shechina Sharyeh is a term, not just that the Shechina Shchinta Sharia, that the Shechina, that the divine presence is resting there, is present there. Sharia hu miloshen Shari v'aser. There's the term Shari in Aramaic means mutter, which in Hebrew we have the terms Isser v'heter. We have a term, generally we use these terms to mean something is permitted or something is prohibited, but the actual meaning of something being permitted is that it's released, it's set loose, and something being prohibited means that it's bound up, and it's like it's caught up, it's like tied up. So we say that the Shechina is present. It means it's permitted. It means it's released. It means that we let go of it, that it's released from its bounds. It's untied, and all of the things that might prevent us from attaching to the Shechina, ropes that are tying it up, so to speak, thorns and thistles that are trying to prevent us from being attached to the Shechina, and that surround the Shechina, meaning that there's all these thorns and there's this thorn bush that's around the Shechina, so to speak. We're speaking in poetic sense, that we cannot attach to the Shechina. That's taken away, because it's known that the Shechina in Galus is in prison, and the prisoner cannot release himself from prison, our sages say. However, we can release the Shechina from prison when we gather together a minyan to praise God. And he says that's what's said in the name of Rabbi Aaron Agadol Mikarlin, that if there are 10 Jews sitting together, even they're not doing mitzvahs, as long as they're not doing sins, then there's a hashras Shechina. There's the indwelling of the holy presence of God, which is greater. It gets so much greater that even an angel or a seraph cannot come into where they're gathered together, because of the greatness of the light, the holiness that's there. That if an angel would come there, it would be burnt up right away. And in this concept, we understand. He can understand what his father wrote. And he wrote in the margins of his own Chumash. On Parshas Vayakel, it says Vayakel Mispar Mikvah. That the word Vayakel, gathered together, is the same gematria as mikvah. And the Mishnah, we know, says in the end of Yuma, mikvah mataris d'meimah v'kadosh baruch hu mataris Yisrael. Just as the mikvah purifies those who are impure, so too God purifies his people. And so we see what similarity that the mikveh has, that it purifies those who are impure, so too God, when he allows his Shechina to rest upon the Jewish people, when a minyan gets together, then there's hashras, a Shechina, there's an indwelling of divine presence, which purifies them. So, that's even if they're not davening, they're not learning, they're just sitting together. So if they're, as long as they're not sinning, so all the more so when Jewish people are sitting together, they're gathering together to daven or to learn Torah, then for sure, specifically learning Torah, the presence of Shechina is even greater. Chazal say, in the verse in Ezekiel 11:16, Vehilahem lemikdash ma'at, I'm going to be for them a small temple, meaning for the Jews who are in Babylonia. They shouldn't feel bad that they're away from the Jerusalem temple, or the Jerusalem temple was destroyed at the time, as is now. God says, I'm going to be for them a small temple. That the synagogues and the study halls, the yeshivas in Babylonia, and so to all over the world, are small microcosm of the temple in Jerusalem. And anyone who sits in a holy place like this brings upon themselves tremendous holiness. And this we can understand what the verse means. Vasil Mikdash, make me a temple. Make me a holy place, that we should be gathered together in a way that we should be worthy. The Shekhinah should dwell upon us. We should sit and learn Torah with the minyan. And then, then I'm going to indwell in them. God's going to live in every individual who comes there is going to have God living in their heart. Even if they're not learning, even if they're not davening, just the fact that they come to shul is going to have an impact on their soul. And this is one of the reasons why it's so important every day, without any exception, the person should spend time sitting and learning Torah every day. And really, if they live in a community where they're able to do such a thing, they should go to synagogue and listen to a daily Torah study in public with other people, even if they know for sure that they're going to fall asleep and they're not going to be able to learn. You know, one of my patients in the hospital, someone from a Hamish background, they felt bad because being in the hospital, I'm talking on my own now, they have to take certain medications and it made them drowsy, and they felt, that it's disrespectful to put their head down and sleep. I said, no. Your neshama is going to hear it. Your soul's going to hear it. It's good that you're here. Don't feel that you're being disrespectful. Even if they know they're going to sleep and they're not going to actually learn, the very fact that they're there in a holy place where Jews are gathered to learn Torah, that purifies and elevates the soul, the nefesh ha'adam. And this is also hinted to in the words "V'shechanti b'socham," and I will indwell within them, which stands for Ashras Shechina Kula Nimseis Teich Yoshvim B'Shirei Torah U'Mitar Kol Mishtatfim. That the indwelling of the Shechina is entirely found when people are sitting at a Torah lecture, and it purifies all of those who are involved. All right, please like, share, and subscribe, comment. Thank you for watching, and God bless. Take care.